Hello everybody and welcome back to Imperator, where last episode we took over a large section of Garamantia, and unfortunately Garamantia is still extant down over here, with some awkward border gore, but we'll get that handled eventually. So we're going to have these guys finish up their roads, and once they're done with that, I want them to embark, because I actually want to haul these guys down over here and get any road building left done there. So that'll be fine. We apparently have a risk of rebellion of Pactia. There's also this over here. I'm going to swap this over to harsh treatment. That's good. And then Pactia is over here. They're still at minus 0.02 per month. Okay, we may be better off replacing this guy. He is 7 finesse, huh? Yeah, 0.04. That's what I thought. So this is going to be a bit awkward out over here. This is probably going to rebel eventually. But that's understood. It'll happen. We'll deal with it when that crops up. So that seems absolutely fine. There is an available decision, and we should definitely take this. There we go. That'll be wonderful. Any actual colonizable provinces? No. Okay. So we've got pretty high aggressive expansion right now, and we've got quite a lot of money. So that means we're going to be doing a fair amount of investment at this time. So that's absolutely wonderful. We're going to, of course, sort like this, and Castellum Tingitanum? Tingatanum? I'm not entirely sure. That sounds very Latin. But Castellum, there we go. Right up over here. Perfect. So that is this location. That's this entire state. So we can definitely work on this. That's going to be a foundry and 3 mills, as well as 3 slave traders and 2 taverns. That'll be okay. This should be replaced with a slave estate. What do we got going on over here? We may as well be unpaused. Yeah, this can be production. There we go. And then this is already set up primarily for production. We could use that Grand Temple. That is a useful thing. So we'll keep that for now. We'll put in 3 mills, we'll put in some slave traders, allow automatic trading here as well, and do something like that. Okay, so that looks good. This would get swapped over to a farming settlement. This is a mine, which is perfect. This would get swapped over to a slave estate. This down here is going to be a slave estate as well. Veterans are moving on. Okay, cool. And then this is a fort, which I think is actually very useful. So let's take this up to 4. I'd prefer it to be right here, but this is still a useful location for it. They can kind of bypass it up over this way, but they're going to have to siege it eventually anyway. So something like that looks good. And then we don't need the commercial district. This can be a trio of mills beyond that. So that looks good. And then we can have a slave estate here. Slave estate here looks fine. And a slave estate here. Okay. So there's that all dealt with. We need a new moray, and that would be this guy, who was conveniently a scorned family member as well. And we're going to next go with Euphoria. Okay, where's this at? Right up over here. Not too much to be done here, just these 2 cities. And this should definitely end up being production. So we're going to do something like that, and then this city here. Oh, we don't actually control that. Never mind, that would need to be colonized. So next up would be Ajdir, and that is somewhere. Specifically, here. Okay, so that is this state that we're going to want to build roads in. This is precious metals, so we absolutely want to go full-on production here. No doubt about that. This is elephants. Okay, whatever. Farming settlement here is good. This should be a farming settlement. No doubt about that. This is a farming settlement. I like it. This should... it's an enclosure. Close enough. This should be production. And having the Grand Theater there, I think, is quite useful. So that'll be something like that. Excellent. What do we got here? Enclosure? Sure. Hunting camp? Yeah, that's fine. The rest of this all looks good. So these guys are very, very close at this point to finishing up their road build. We're going to have them exit road build as soon as they arrive in this other location here. There we go. And now I want to put in a governor out over this way. I guess that's fine. And I want to sail these right on down to here. Perfect. So that'll do fine for now. Are these guys building? No, they should exit road build and come sit down over here for the time being. These guys are going to be building for quite a long time yet, so that's understood. And we're just going to sail on over this direction. Cool. So we're going to have them disembark as soon as they arrive here, and we'll set up a road build for them. It won't be too extensive. Okay. So it's... In the meantime, of course, we're making 510 gold per month, which is kind of insane. I'd like them to disembark, like, up over... Actually, over here. This is already road built, so we can just have it be something like this. There we go. And then we can have them build road, and their road build is going to be something like that. Then they're going to double back and make sure that there's a road connection here. And we may as well make sure that there's one here as well. Something kind of like that. Road connections like this, and then that should be good. That should be all it needs. So next up, we'd be going to Turin, which is right out over here. Okay, beautiful. So this is going to be a production city, obviously. And let's get some of that going. Perfect. And we've got a city down over here. This is mostly set up as production already. That looks fine. This is a farming settlement. That looks good. This city is well set up already. Nothing to be done there. Mine here looks good. This is not colonized, so we can't do anything there. Farming settlement is fine. This is also not colonized. Unfortunate. And same with that. Okay, so not too much needing to be done there. The next location would be Nisivibus? Sure. We're going to go with Nisivibus. So this is going to be a foundry and 3 mills, 3 slave traders, and a tavern. There we go. A lot of these need to grow an awful lot, but those all looked good. I want to have this swap over to a slave estate. This is going to be a slave estate. And then a mine here is excellent. Here we would need a pair of taverns, but otherwise that looks pretty okay. This would need to be a slave estate. This is a hunting camp, which is fine. Mine is good, and farming settlement is great. Okay, no issues there now. So that looks wonderful. Where next? That would be gear, which is right out over this direction. We've already got some construction down here, and there's some Garamontian territory here, but we're definitely going to get all of this going. So that's going to be a tavern only. Yeah. We definitely need to see a large amount of population growth in a lot of these areas. So we need to get rid of this citizen district and this noble district for sure. Keeping around the Grand Theater and the Great Temple are both useful, but we can do something like this. Okay, so that's building currently. This is not colonized. Hunting camp is good. This is a blacksmith. That's fine. And both of these are building. Okay. So nothing really needing to be done there other than that. So next is Decret Hamra. There we go. Okay, so that is this state out over here. Understood. So this is basically this other portion, right? A mine here is good. We can get rid of that and put in a hunting camp. This is going to be a slave estate. We'll get that going. Mine is good. And this will be production-based for sure, which it already mostly is. But we need to put in some mills here, as well as a pair of slave traders. That will be absolutely fine. Then over here in Masad, this is mostly going to remain the same, actually. We'll put in some foundries. We'll put in some mills. We'll enable automatic trading here. And a slave trader will be fine. Hunting camp here. Okay, I mean... we produce wild game, so we're going to need to make more of those in our foundry, obviously. And we're going to get a slave trader and a tavern. Cool. So that's all looking good for now. Next would be Bariga. So that is going to be out over this direction, in this state. Okay, noted. We'll start out over this direction. This is a crafts workshop. This should absolutely be a mine. And that's a mine. That looks great. Mine is great there as well. More production here is needed. A farmer's market is probably okay long term. So we'll just do something like that for now. Over here, we've got a slave estate. That looks fine. Farming settlement. That's good. We definitely need a few additional mills here. No academies. No court of law. We're pretty decent on the Grand Theater. I'm going to get rid of the Great Temple. This is still going to mostly convert over, but it's going to be a little slower without that. That's fine. And we can do something like that. Evangelism in our lands, yeah. So farming settlement here, and then this is a slave estate. So that looks absolutely fine for me. Next up is going to be a core, which is somewhere over here. There it is. Okay, up over this direction. So that looks good. We're going to put in 3 mills here for sure. And then we'll definitely put in a slave trader. Do we need these? No, we don't. Okay, so that looks good. A pair of taverns, and then a pair of forums, and a freeman district. Okay, out over this way, a slave estate is fine. Good here. Farming settlement looks great. Slave estate is okay here. This is kind of a research city, and there's no reason for it to be one. So we're going to get rid of most of these buildings and just kind of start this thing over. Okay, so it's going to be something like that. We're going to put in a foundry. We're going to put in 3 mills. We're going to put in 2 slave traders. We're going to put in 2 taverns. We're going to put in 2 forums. We're going to put in 2 freeman districts, and then 2 tax offices, like that. Cool. So this is a production city here. This looks absolutely fine for right now. No major issues there. Just a couple of extra buildings being added in. Here, there are definitely some that need to be dealt with. We had a martial advance. We'll deal with that in a moment. And we can get rid of the shipyard here. The aqueduct is actually kind of useful, but we'll get rid of it. The noble districts, that'll be okay. And the taverns, this all looks good. Okay, moving on. Down over this way, it's a farming settlement. That'll be okay. Here, we definitely need 3 mills. Most of the buildings here are good. And we're going to take a couple of slave traders there. That'll be fine. Slave estate here looks good, and farming settlement. Okay, so now we need to get our next innovation spent. So that could be like cistern, boosting our pop cap, and we're going to take that. That will be useful going forward. And then here in Mesopotamia, let's get this guy put in. Perfect. So that all looks fine for now. Do we have... Oh, we do have colonizable provinces. We should definitely do this then. Okay, so that'll be excellent. We can spend political influence on this. I don't mind it. Okay, next up is, of course, going to be a farming settlement. Wow. Okay, we'll definitely get that going. And then we've got Kawa for the next location. But before we do this, I want to check in on our road builders. So these guys are not building road. They can stop that. These guys are, of course, not building road. We knew that. And these are probably still going. Yeah, they've got a ways to go. Cool. Well, that'll save us a little bit of money anyway. So next up, of course, is Kawa, which is right out over this direction. Okay, so this state is a pretty big one. And we need a lot of production here for sure. We do not need a Grand Theater or a Great Temple. We don't need these conscription camps. We need a foundry to forge more wheat in. We need mills. We need slave traders. We need taverns. There we go. And then we need a pair of freeman districts. That'll be fine for now. Mine there is good. Slave estate, I like it. This is going to move over to being a logging camp. There we go. And we're going to forge more sheep in our foundries, of course. That'll be absolutely wonderful, and we can do something like that. Okay, down over this direction, we are fine with the slave estate. Here, we definitely want to get this changed around a little bit. So we'll get rid of all of those structures. We'll put in a tavern, 3 mills, and that'll be good for now. There's a lot of sheep down here. Okay. Well, we could definitely get rid of this conscription camp, and we want to put in 3 mills. That's absolutely necessary. A tavern, and then a forum. I think we'll keep around the aqueducts for now. We'll want them later anyway, so that'll be okay. And here, I want a slave estate. Okay, looks good. So Thrace needs a governor. We'll put in this guy, and we need a more. We'll get this guy. That seems great. And next up would be Samnu. Okay. So that's right down over here. Cool. We're at 97% Israelite. So I don't think we need this great temple. And we would put in 3 mills. We'd put in 3 slave traders and a couple of taverns. There we go. That'll do for now. Okay, so this would need to be a slave estate. Perfect. Hunting camp here looks fine. This is going to be a farming settlement. Yep, farming settlement for all of those is absolutely wonderful. So earthenware here. I don't think this should be producing research. We'll get rid of all of that. This is going to be 3 mills, and then we're going to have this be 3 slave traders and 3 taverns. Perfect. Do we need this Grand Theater? Actually, it is somewhat useful. Okay, we'll keep that for now. And then we've got this location, which is gemstones. Well, we'll get rid of the academy. This should, because of the cultural issues, this should really not be a research location. So we're going to do something like that. We'll get these 3 mills going, and then we'll get some slave traders and some taverns in there. We'll just work on production. That'll be okay for now. Okay, how are we doing on our tech? Noted. We could definitely use more tech. So that's absolutely fine. We'll look for locations to do that. Cubana would be the next location. So that's right out over here. This is 0% controlled by us, or rather 0% populated by our culture. So once again, we're going to have to go for production out over this way. Rome, are you doing things again? That was very laggy. Okay. I think that might be Rome doing things again. Well, whatever. So this farming settlement here is fine. This should be a slave estate. And eventually that'll switch over. Okay, there we go. That'll be fine. A mine here looks good. Farming settlement is good. Hunting camp. Yep, hunting camp. This is a slave estate. That's fine. That's fine. Farming settlement. And then this is, of course, going to need to be something like this. Okay, so that is absolutely fine for now. We don't need this citizen district, but the rest of it is okay. So that'll do. So we're definitely making very, very solid progress on getting constructions done here. No doubt about that. What else do we have? Well, next up is Pergamon. So that is going to be out over this direction. Understood. This is a good location for research. So we're absolutely going to make this be a research location. It's going to need more population, but that's fine. So this out over here is going to be... Yeah, slave estate is fine. Farming settlement, okay. Slave estate, sure. Farming settlement, slave estate, farming settlement, that's all okay. Here, this is absolutely going to be production, producing wine. So that looks fine. And we would go for something like that. Do we want the aqueduct? To be honest, we don't need it. So we can do something like this. Okay, farming settlement here. This is, actually, this should be a logging camp. There we go. And then this is producing olives, so obviously we want to boost up our slave production here. So that'll be fine. Roman citizens moving? Done. We will accept that. We could use all the citizens we can get our hands on. So that is absolutely wonderful. We'll get 3 more forums up here, and then that state is complete. So we need some governors. Let's get these in. There we go. And we're at max political influence, of course. I don't want to spend money on this, so no. Next up, what are we going to go for? Well, that's going to be Tinos. So Tinos is out over this direction, of course, and that's going to be basically all of Evia, and that's absolutely fine. We're going to take this 100 gold. But also, we're going to build some mills here. And we're going to build some slave traders and taverns. Do we need the Grand Theater? Or rather, the Great Temple? No, but we do need the Grand Theater. That's still useful for us. So we can do something like this. Okay, next up would be Andros, and this is currently a blacksmith. That seems okay. This is a mine, this is a farming settlement, this is a farming settlement. This is mostly set up pretty okay along here. So not too much to be done here. This is a mine. I think we've already done this one majoritively. So that looks good. We can put in a tax office here. This is a farming settlement, and here, of course, we would be interested in putting in a pair of forums. Okay, what else are we looking at here? Well, Bagada would be next. So that is right down over here in Egypt. Yeah, this is definitely, like, along the Nile. So that is absolutely fine. We would be looking to not have this academy here, not have these conscript camps. either. Those are completely useless. We're going to get 3 mills, we're going to get 3 slave traders, 3 taverns, and that'll be okay for now. We have 3 aqueducts here, and that is really not necessary. 1 aqueduct is all that's needed, so we can do something like that. We are at 99% Hebrew, so this Grand Theater, not necessary. Let's get rid of that. So this is the farming settlement. That looks good. Slave estate, that's fine. We should get rid of the conscription camp here. 3 mills are going to go in here. Otherwise, this looks pretty okay. So this is going to be a slave estate. That's fine. Here, we definitely do not need the Great Temple, and we do not need the Grand Theater. Those can be gotten rid of. The tavern would go in here, as well as 3 mills, and that'll be okay for the moment. Okay, slave estate in those locations, a mine, a slave estate. This would be a hunting camp, is what this should be. And then a mine. That looks good. Okay, so that is all absolutely wonderful for now. Next up would be Atzman, which is somewhere up over here. Noted. That's very close. Okay, so that's this up here. We definitely don't care about this granary. There's only 1 pop here. That's hilarious. And we're going to put in some mills. We're going to put in some slave traders and a tavern. We definitely want population growth there. That'll be very helpful. Slave estate here is good. This is a city, and this is a production city specifically. So putting in a pair of mills here looks great. No granary. And we really don't need the farmer's market yet, but we'll grow into it presumably. Okay, farming settlement, mine, farming settlement, mine, slave estate. This is a mine, and this is a slave estate. Those all look good. And then we've got this city right here. So no port. And we're going to... What? I don't really want to be up here, but okay, whatever. For now, we're going to continue with this. So we're going to put in a mill here, but there's this aqueduct, which is not really necessary as of right now. And there's also the citizen district in here. So we'll get rid of that, and we'll put in a pair of mills. And for now, that'll have to do. These cities are pretty heavily depopulated from where they were before the plague. No doubt about it. A lot of the smaller ones are. The metropolises are doing okay, but the smaller cities, it's a little grim for them. Okay, next up is going to be Arc. So this is out over here. Okay. Looks good. So this is a production city, no doubt about that. We're going to put in 3 mills. This is going to be a slave trader, a tavern. Then we're going to put in a forum and a freeman district. And this is basically ready to go. So that's not bad. This is absolutely a research city, and we're going to put in an academy and then a library there. Research cities are great for us, after all. This has got a holy site, so whatever. Farming settlement here, that's fine. This is a slave estate and slave estate. Farming settlement here, here, here. Okay, those all look good. This is going to be production, so this is otherwise fine. It does need a little bit more work, but it's okay. And a farming settlement up over here. So not too much needing to be done. Let's call down Esther. There we go. Wonderful. And we do have a colonizable territory here. Ooh. That's a lot of gold. We're going to take the taxes. Thank you very much. So we're going to construct this. Or not really construct, but colonize it. That'll be fine. And we can build a logging camp, it looks like, which we will definitely do. Cool. So next up is going to be Tazor. I like how our amount of money has increased. We're having trouble spending our money. That's a good thing. That's a good problem to have, right? We're going to get these mills in here, and I don't feel like we need this granary. We definitely don't need the noble district. We do need a tavern, and then we need a forum. Beyond that, this is going to be tax offices. So it's going to be something like that. Although I'm wondering, what is the population cap here? 89. I'm going to do 2 aqueducts here as well. Okay, so something along the lines of that. Next up is, hang on, we need to do this entire state. Okay, so this is going to be a slave estate. There we go. Farming settlement looks good. This is production here for sure. So that is all fine. Okay, this is also going to be production. We'll put in a pair of mills here. This granary doesn't need to exist. We can just do something like that. Okay, a slave estate here. This should actually be swapped to a logging camp. But otherwise, that looks good. Same thing here. This should be a logging camp. This should be a logging camp. And then this is a production city for sure. We'll get rid of these 2 granaries, and we will put in a slave trader and a pair of taverns for now. And then down over here, this is a research city, but this is pretty much maxed out for right now. So nothing too major to be done there. And with that, it is time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, I think we're going to continue to spend our money for the time being. I don't see a reason to go to war until we have our city buildings much closer to completed. We have a long ways to go on this, and we have a lot of money. So I think we should work on internal investments at this time. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Andy McGard, Dark Horse, Xenocyte, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.